In the 1950s, there was one great machine that, for me, more than any other, was the shining example of the engineering of the era. Born of post-war ingenuity and materials, it helped rebuild Britain by taking the world by storm. Half car, half tractor, it was designed for farmers the world over, but has been used with a passion by everyone from royalty to extreme explorers. It was, of course, the Land Rover. Marketed as the farmer's friend, it was built using post-war leftovers, a marriage of ingenuity and necessity designed as a short-term quick fix for an ailing British car company. So, how did a hurriedly improvised post-war stopgap become an international success? And in my humble opinion, the greatest British workhorse ever built. In the years following World War II, factories struggled from ongoing shortages of all sorts of raw materials, including steel. One company that was seriously feeling the post-war pinch was Rover, which was famous for making prestige cars like this P3. Now, this P3 is made mainly out of steel. Steel was scarce, and Rover couldn't physically make enough P3s to survive. Steel was only allocated to companies that exported their products. Rover didn't. So they needed to come up with a machine to sell overseas. It just so happened that Rover's technical director, Maurice Wilks, was using a war surplus US Army Willys Jeep to get around his holiday home on Anglesey. Although Wilks hated to admit it, the Americans' ingenious four-wheel drive Jeep was brilliant for odd jobs on rough ground and much faster than dragging out a tractor. But spare Jeep parts were becoming hard to get hold of. One Easter, while on holiday, Wilks had a brainwave. Why not design his own version of the Jeep for Rover to build and sell overseas? He sketched his idea in the sand for his brother Spencer, who happened to be managing director of Rover. It was unlike anything Rover had ever built before. But Spencer was sold, so they trundled off to Rover HQ to present the idea to the board. This is block one of what was then Rover's Sollihull factory, where the Wilks brothers had their offices. I'm here to ask Land Rover historian Roger Craythorne just how easy it was for them to persuade the board. But this was a total departure, really, from the manufacture of prestige cars, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And the company very quickly realised that they needed to do something to create export orders. And they tried to replicate the Jeep, but not as a military vehicle, more of a vehicle for the farming community.
So there you have the ideal vehicle to sort of move the hay bales and the milk churns during the day and then take the wife out to the theatre of an evening. The Wilks brothers also realised that a lightweight 4x4 would be ideal for the rough roads of the Commonwealth. This just might be the export market Rover was looking for. But their new machine would have to be extremely tough and reliable in the worst imaginable conditions. While many cars and even the Routemaster bus were switching to monocoque designs, Wilks stuck with a tough steel ladder chassis frame. But Rover didn't have enough steel to make the rest of the bodywork. So Wilks turned to a material that was sitting around in plentiful stockpiles after the war. Yes, you've guessed it. Aluminium again. Mostly flat panels with a minimum of shaping, nice and easy to make. And you can bash it around, dent it, scratch it. It won't rust. An inspired feature was what they called the power takeoff, with which you could drive all sorts of different tools with the Landys engine. Great for odd jobs around the farm. No tractor required. The design was full of good ideas, but the machine was built almost entirely from existing Rover stocks. Even the engine was straight out of the P3 saloon. So at best, the Rover board was hoping the new machine would get them through the post-war slump. Oh, how wrong they were. They obviously didn't spend enough time out here. All the way down. Now, how cool does that look with the windscreen down? Yes. Bit of wind in the old face. And probably some mud as well. We have contact, and we're away. Welcome to the jungle. This is the original jungle track, where Wilkes put early Land Rovers through their paces. It's right next to the Sollihull factory where they were built. This is the stuff. Thanks to that combination of heavy steel chassis and lightweight aluminium body, the Land Rover has a low centre of gravity that should make it impossible to topple over. This is what Land Rovering's all about. Getting in the muddy lanes, through the puddles. We've got a little bit of a slope here, boys, so hang on tight. You're the kind of thing you never think a Land Rover's going to do it, but it does. Fantastic. Yes! Very impressive indeed. Within months of its release, the Land Rover was outselling Rover's road cars, at home and in the Commonwealth. A great British icon that has stood the test of time. The Land Rover and many other brilliant machines of the 50s helped put Britain back on her feet. By the end of the decade, the average weekly wage had almost doubled, and new Prime Minister Harold Macmillan was moved to say that the people had never had it so good. It was the dawn of a new era of prosperity, inventiveness, and cultural revolution. In a country that had found its place in the new world order.